Hello, my name is Steve Wright. I'm CEO and partner of Privacy Culture. We're a organisation based in the UK, dedicated to implementing and embedding a culture of privacy, one organisation at a time. So that's our sort of strapline. But today I'm here to talk about Project Bijou. What a fantastic initiative to come out of the Office of Data Protection Authority in Guernsey. So I'm delighted to take part in this, and thank you for reaching out. Having been the data protection officer for the Bank of England, John Lewis Partnership, Unilever, I've got many stories, too many to for this video, I'm afraid. But one in particular really strikes me when a few years ago we were hacked, and we had ransomware request from a group of criminals, and we were in the room looking at the implications of what this meant for our customers, and we have millions of customers. And the ransomware request was quite demanding, and they said unless we paid in cryptocurrency, they would release this data, this customer data, out in the wild. So we had to make a bit of a gamble, and it was a gamble because we consulted with the police, etc. But I remember thinking, being in real conflict as the data protection officer. How can I protect the interests of these individuals and protect the interests of the business? And there was a real kind of conflict there, and we debated for some time about whether or not this was a real ransomware attack. And in the end, we actually paid in Bitcoins for some of the sample data, took that data, compared it to our customer data set, and realized that that this was a bogus claim. They hadn't actually infiltrated our systems and gleaned all that customer data. And so we refused to pay. And there was this kind of waiting for them to respond moment, which was quite daunting and a little bit nerve-wracking, I have to say. But it was a good example of where that conflict of sharing data and contacting the customers, which we were getting ready to do in the event that it was a genuine ransomware attack. All of that preparation, everything to do with the customer and protecting the customer's data, was really important for us at the time, from a brand and from a reputation perspective, but also just kind of from an ethical perspective. You know, we didn't want this data falling into the wrong hands. So we took a calculated risk, and fortunately it turned out that they didn't actually have the data. So that's a great example, and I have many like that, where as a data protection officer you're asked and challenged on a daily basis about what to do with the data and how to use the data. And it always draws back to pretty much the principles of Project Bijou, you know, the things like, you know, human dignity and respecting the data and being accountable, etc. So I believe this is a great initiative by the Data Protection Authority, and thus I'm here today to support it. Well, being a DPO, that's an easy one to answer, because one of the challenges I found was you can, if you like, lead the horse to water, but you couldn't necessarily get it to drink. So we had a massive campaign to change the hearts and minds of 85,000 staff across the business, contact centres, HR, finance, pension teams, etc. We had to change their mindset. And so what was really did occur to me over a few years was that actually it was the culture that we needed to change. We needed people to think differently, to act differently, to change their behavior and their attitudes towards data, and to really think about the customer and take ownership of what they were doing with the data so that they handled the data appropriately, given the data's sensitivity. So I felt that privacy culture was a reflection of what I wanted to help other DPOs and CPOs, which is now what we're doing in terms of training, awareness, communication, and how we can, if by implementing a DPIA process or a DSAR process or whatever the process that needs to be implemented, how can we do that in a way that's lasting, that really makes an impact on the staff, on the workforce? And so privacy culture was an obvious choice for that, because we really want to make a difference for our industry, and we want to make a difference for us as consumers, as customers, and as users of that data. We have spent a lot of time defining what good looks like in terms of privacy and culture. And you can pretty much measure it, we believe, in 5 different ways. That's the attitude, the behavior, the culture, the perceived control, and the knowledge. And we believe that if you can score highly in those 5 areas, now for us as privacy culture, we've actually set about producing the world's first benchmark. So we went out to 10 different organizations, asked them to take part in this exercise, this research project, worked with a university, a law firm, and we completed the world's first benchmark. And we're absolutely flabbergasted at the results, because sure enough, it always comes down to people. So you can write policies, you can create processes, but unless you really think about the culture of your organization, the way that they perceive data, the way that they access data, they handle data, do they feel responsible for that data? And we can now measure across different domains around different themes about what that looks like, what good looks like. So we know accurately now what good looks like. Now, change and transformation is a big item in large organizations, especially in terms of digitalization. All organizations are now, or have already, woken up to the fact that data is the new oil, if you like, and it's rich and powerful, and if when used appropriately, can really add value. And I think what we've been trying to do, certainly here at Privacy Culture, but certainly throughout my entire career, I'm not a lawyer. I'm a data protection and privacy, excuse me, enthusiast. Who's someone who's been in this for 12 years, and I love it and I enjoy it. And really at the center of that is, yes, there are laws and there's regulations and structures around to enforce that, but actually, it does really go down to how you interpret that. But really, it's down to the people, it's down to the workforce, if you like, the employees. So it's really important to look at the law in that particular jurisdiction, because most of our clients are multi-internationals and therefore trading across different jurisdictions. Understand those requirements, but the major sort of principles, if you like, and certainly from a GDPR perspective, can be applied pretty much universally. And we believe that if you take those universal privacy principles and help organizations to train, to embed that cultural difference, then that transformation, that change will slowly take place. But more importantly, it lands well, it's sticky, and it's still operational in 2-3 years. There's a lot of projects that were kicked off leading up to GDPR go live in May 2018 and have plateaued. Simply just no more money, not enough resource, and that's a big challenge. And I think GCs, data protection lawyers, and DPOs and CPOs around the world are really struggling, depending on the tone from the top. And I know that's in the principles of the Bijou project, and that's crucial. And certainly at John Lewis, where I worked, one of the first tasks that I undertook was to make sure that the board at least 3 of the board members had direct responsibility, accountability for the data sets. That was the chief HR officer, the chief marketing officer, and the chief finance officer, who was also my boss. And so I clearly laid out to them what was, what was considered, their responsibility, their accountability, and then we built below that the champions and the structure and the control framework, the privacy control framework, to really embed that. But that was only successful if we changed the hearts and minds of the 85,000 workforce. I think it's a fantastic initiative. I'm really pleased that Guernsey have recognised that the key to this is the people and the hearts and the minds. And if we do change people's attitudes towards privacy, we make them more aware of both their responsibilities, but also of the companies that are handling their data, then I think we're heading in the right direction. I really do hope so. We've committed to writing an annual report on privacy culture for the next 10 years in association with the Queen Mary University. And so we'll be measuring and tracking those trends across the world. We've already conducted this analysis across 52 countries. And so we've got some fantastic insights into different sectors, into different jurisdictions, and their culture and their understanding and applicability, if you like, of those different rules in those local areas. So I think Project Pursue is a fantastic initiative. It starts to define what good looks like. It helps to, determine, if you like, the structure, the architecture for privacy culture. So yeah, we are fully supportive of this initiative here at Privacy Culture. And that's it from me. Thank you very much for your time, and good luck.